I bet seeing me is a great way for a family lawyer to start their day.
I've been looking for you, Dennis.
Dennis Slate had ignored our request for an interview for months. We'll show you how our visit with Dennis Slate went in a second, but we want you to first meet Libni Pineda, who is clearly not a fan of Mr. Slate's. Maybe not surprising because Dennis Slate was his ex-wife's divorce lawyer.
Slate files a motion, I gotta respond. Slate files a motion, I gotta respond. Slate keeps filing a motion, I gotta respond. He's just driving up the bill.
Pineda makes an accusation we hear a lot about some family lawyers, that they intentionally drag out custody cases for years so they can get bigger legal fees.
I mean, there's no mixing words. He's been very clear that he delayed the case for more than 3 years.
Slate admits he doesn't mind delays because it's not his money. Listen.
I delay because you're sitting there paying for it. I'm not going to go out there and take a loan. I'm not lending your estate my attorney's fees.
So you are admitting that you delayed on purpose.
It was a bill that left Slate with virtually all the money from the sale of the Pineda family home. The judge in that case, Tristan Longino. He limits campaign donations to $500, and that's exactly what Slate gave him.
The sale of the marital residence, $147,000 cash issued directly to him, not to the petitioner, not to me. He got issued more than 95% of the money.
And Pineda blames the judge for letting Slate get away with it.
And the judge allowed him to disrespect me, verbally abuse me, even verbally assault me.
But Dennis Slate spreads money out to a lot of Harris County family judges.
It looks like you give more than most folks.
I don't know.
What you do?
Since the start of 2019, nearly $80,000 to Harris County judges.
Because I like good judges. I give donations to judges that I think are good. I think that they should stay in place.
Slate has thrown campaign fundraisers for at least 5 Harris County judges in the last few years. He's even the campaign treasurer for one judge, Julia Maldonado.
There's no way anyone could, construe that I'm getting favoritism in that court.
In fact, Slate says he's actually frequently asked the judge not to be her campaign treasurer anymore, but she supposedly refused. Guess it's like forced labor.
I want to ask you about your relationship with Judge Daring.
I don't really have one.
We asked about Galveston County District Judge Ann Daring because of a fundraiser she held at the La Brisa Mexican Grill in League City. It was back in June 2021, a full 9 months before this year's primary, where the judge faced nobody. They called it a kickoff on the campaign report, but the money raised was actually helping the judge pay herself back. Daring had spent a lot of her own money to get elected back in 2014, more than $57,000 in loans she had never tried to pay back in 7 years. The biggest contributor at the La Brisa campaign fundraiser was Dennis Slate. $2,500 from him, $2,500 more from his wife. Apparently, she likes good judges too. The folks at the League City law firm of Krieger and Tillinger paid for the food and drink at the event. Christina Tillinger, Dennis Slate, they are co-counsel in the middle of a high-stakes divorce case in Daring's court involving businessman Brian Orsak. The judge took the money right in the middle of the legal fight.
Should a judge accept money from lawyers during a case?
I do not believe they should, no.
Brian Orsak wouldn't talk with us, but his brother did.
And that's not a conflict of interest? I would think that's a conflict of interest, especially during a case like this.
The legal fees awarded by Judge Daring in this case are staggering, and the timing doesn't help. In the months before Slate helped the judge pay off her campaign loans, Orsak had been told the sale of his boat had to go to pay for future legal work Slate said he had to do for the wife. $185,000. A few months after the campaign shindig for Daring, lawyers testified that Orsak's wife had already paid them $300,000 herself, but they needed a lot more money.
She's given you more than $350,000 in the Orsak case.
No, not me.
You didn't get that money more than a year ago? She awarded you interim fees of $350,000?
She awarded it to Chris Tillinger, who argued that.
Okay, but you got some of that money, right?
I'm Chris's co-counsel.
In fact, Orsak was told to pay all the money to Slate's firm. Checks for $200,000 and $150,000 over a 2-month period. Kind of a lot of money to forget about. If you're counting at home, that's more than $500,000 paid in advance to the 2 law firms. Judge Daring also sanctioned Orsak's lawyer for $17,000 and asked Slate how much he wanted to defend the case if it was appealed. Another $35,000 was tacked on. Exactly what Slate wanted.
Payback. He gets whatever he wants when he asks her for it.
And the judge hasn't asked either firm to provide an invoice showing how they're spending that big advance from the Orsak community property.
Have you ever turned in an invoice?
To who?
To the court?
For what?
You don't think you have to give an invoice to show what you're doing for the money?
No, the law doesn't require it.
Oh,
Is there something in the law you know of I don't know of?
Not a single invoice in 10 months. We've heard that story before.
Extremely frustrating, and it's saddened. And things need to be done to change that kind of aspect.
Less than 3 weeks after the unusually large advance payday, Judge Daring needed a favor from Mr. Slate, assigning him to handle the latest custody battle involving a convicted drug dealer named Lisa Searcy. Searcy had been waging a legal war to get her kids back and had gone through 7 other lawyers. She was suing Judge Daring in federal court for alleged civil rights violations. Slate normally charges $450 an hour, but agreed to work for just $75 an hour.
I got an appointment order on that case, and then, I guess technically you can go and protest that, but I don't know that most lawyers do when a judge appoints them on a case.
Slate would submit invoices for up to 16 hours a day of work. In just 3 months, state taxpayers paid him $21,000.
I got appointed like a week before the jury trial and was able to kind of work it up enough to where the jury wasn't going to terminate her.
This chain of events is exactly why campaign contributions in the middle of a trial come under fire.
It can have the appearance of impropriety and the appearance of unfairness.
Angela Welton is a former public integrity prosecutor with the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
And nobody wants to go into a courtroom and feel like that it's already unfair for them. That isn't right. That's not what we want. And we should fight to make sure that it's not that way.
As long as this state elects judges and they're elected politicians, I think they're always going to have to raise money.
But if you were Brian Orsak and the lawyers who helped the judge pay off her loans were on the other side of your case, wouldn't you think the deck was stacked? I think you would.
The last thing that you need is the idea that they are showing favoritism for their benefit.
Do you think a judge who takes campaign money in the middle of a trial should recuse?
I think they should think about it.
It's why we keep track of campaign donations to family judges on our website, dolcefino.com. You should know what you're up against.
How tough is this on your brother?
It's very tough. Emotionally, physically too.